Hey everyone, Israel coming here. Welcome to today's live stream where we're basically going to be getting you set up for the week to come in regards to the trading week, in regards to when the market opens. So if this is the first time here on a live stream on one of our videos, my name is Israel, and what we basically do here is we focus on helping you make Forex profits. So in today's video, you should be able to see my screen where you can see my charts. We're going to basically break down multiple different charts as we do customarily here on the weekend, and we're basically going to put you in the best position to actually make money trading the Forex markets. So if you like what we're talking about at any point during the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can get updated every single time we produce live streams and videos to help you actually make money trading the Forex markets. So as is the custom, what we do on the weekend, for those of you who are new, for those of you who haven't been on a live stream before with us, what we basically do on the weekend is we do something really significant. We basically look at the markets we want to trade during the week as soon as the market opens, pretty much in about 5-6 hours, and then we basically analyze the markets step by step while the markets are actually closed. We do that for a specific reason, because we want to make sure we're doing these decisions, we're doing our analysis when the market is closed and there's no emotion. The market isn't moving up and down, making us second guess ourselves or third guess ourselves or fourth guess ourselves or anything like that. We basically do it now so we can look at the charts logically. We can say, okay, what do we think the market's going to do? And then ultimately, during the week, we basically try and execute on what we basically planned today, right now. Now, generally what happens on the weekend is you want to take a little bit of a break. That's generally what happens the day after the market closes. Go away from the charts. Now we get into, okay, cool. Let's look at what we thought about, what we tried to do last week. How did it pan out? How did it not pan out, etc.? How are we going to basically make changes, little micro changes to the trading going forward in order to put ourselves in the best position to actually be successful? So what you can see here, let's jump into the charts. We can see the euro yen. This is the first currency we're going to talk about, and it has a lot of causality based on some of the previous live streams we've actually done. I've taken a liberty of putting last weekend's live stream and multiple live streams from last week, because we talked about the euro yen consecutively in multiple days across the week, and it was powerful to see what we talked about last weekend and then basically seeing how we could have executed through the week and how you could have executed through the week as well based on what we did on the weekend. So the reason that's important is because you can watch those live streams after this live stream to give you additional context to help you actually understand how the markets are actually moving, how you can actually kind of time the market, so to speak, and actually get ahead, and how basically what we're doing today is basically going to be the same thing we're going to be doing on the weekends to set ourselves up for the week. So next weekend, God willing, we'll be in the same position. We'll look at last week's live stream. We can see, okay, what did we plan out? What did we think was going to happen? How did it actually happen, etc. So we'll talk about that as well. Those live streams are there in the description box. Okay, so we're looking at the euro yen here. First and foremost as well, you can do this before, you can do this after. One thing I would definitely recommend you do is you should be able to see here quickly, this is the economic calendar that you should be looking at, as well as the charts on the weekend. And all you're basically doing in this scenario is you're looking at all of the different scheduled data that's actually planned to come out on the market for the week. This doesn't guarantee that this is the only information on the markets. There actually is more on the markets as well that may be unscheduled, but as it stands, these are the pieces of information here, and you want to really focus, if anything, okay, if just you focus on one thing, focus on the red colored economic pieces of information there, because they will definitely benefit you in regards to maybe entering a trade, or maybe exiting a trade, or maybe just your analysis of the market as a whole. Okay, so just bear that in mind. You always want to make sure you're looking at this. This is forexfactory.com. Any broker you pretty much have that's of at least decent quality will have a basic economic calendar. If you want to know about Forex brokers, we've got a video in the description box you watch after our live stream about how to find basically the best Forex brokers. Let's jump into the charts. The charts we're using are TradeView charts. Basically, there's a link you can get a free trial in the description box for the exact same charts I use. It gives you a free trial, and there's a paid version if you want it as well. Okay, but the free version is more than enough. Okay, in pretty much most cases. Now we're looking at the euro yen here, right? And we've said all this to say we're now looking at what we want the market to do, what we expect the market to do next week. Okay, this coming week, this week, which starts today on a Sunday, right? First day of the week. Now, this yellow area that is on the screen, for those of you who don't know, if you're new, if you wasn't with us on the previous live stream, this area here, okay, that's the yellow box that I'm basically circling now, okay, this was an area, this was the last potential opportunity that we pinpointed last week in regards to the live streams. Again, the links are in the description box for you to watch after. And what we were basically doing in that scenario is we was basically highlighting, okay, look, last week we anticipated that the euro yen was going to move downwards. Okay, this is what our analysis last weekend kind of showed us, and we said, okay, cool, if the market moves down, then we are going to be looking for sell positions. This right here was the last opportunity to basically sell. I believe the stream before last, we talked about this potential area here as a potential area where you could have sold. And then I think as during one live stream, maybe it'd been the same live stream, we was talking about the area again, basically about what is price going to do, is price going to push up or something like that along those lines. Go back and watch the live streams after this live stream, and it's not a surprise that price one more time and even a second time came back into this area and pushed down again. Now, we talked a lot last week and even in the week before that in regards to entries, how to basically enter the market. Again, go back and watch the live streams on the channel after this live stream because it will give you more insights. But the point is, this is all things we ascertained before it happened, okay? And I was showing you as well in those scenarios what to do in real time if you miss any of these opportunities. This is why going back over the last live streams is actually vital, and you should seriously consider it after this live stream today, okay? So this area so far held. Now, what we do most of the time, because you can see here, this is a 15-minute chart we're basically looking at right now, okay? And the fact of the matter is, what we generally do is, we don't start here on a 15-minute, okay? What we generally do is, we basically go to a higher time frame, and we say, what do we expect the market to do? This is where everything starts for us. So we'll go to a higher time frame, for example, like a 4 hour, and you can see, okay, this is a good example. We had this area on as the area we talked about price bouncing from. And once price bounced off this region, we talked about this potential opportunity as a trade, and multiple different places we talked about. I believe it was here as a potential trade opportunity. Again, all of the live streams previously talk about this. Last week we had, I believe, this area right here, these two yellow boxes, we had them on as potential areas that price was going to sell from. Price went into this region and basically started the sell-off, okay? So it's just important for you to understand, if you're watching this and you're thinking, okay, a lot of these things look convenient, like these are things we're actually doing in real time. And as you watch more of our live streams, and actually as you join us on the live streams actively, you'll see that what basically happens is we're just making a decision. We think the market is going to, for example, move down from here, and we'll just wait and see. If price comes into this region and pushes back down, then I'll pat myself on the back and say, you know what, okay, cool, I got this one right. But the fact of the matter is, price could come into this region and go right through. But the fact of the matter is, you have to be willing to be wrong in order to be right, basically. Okay, there's no way you can be right without necessarily putting yourself on the line to be wrong. And that's what a lot of traders basically struggle with, because generally they'll be risking too much money. So they're not going to be willing to be wrong here in this particular scenario in order to be right, because the money they're risking on the trade is pretty much too much. This is why I highlight all the time, and I hype on this all the time. Look, risk little bits of your trading account, because you want to put yourself in a position where you're supremely relaxed, okay? And that will put you in the best position to actually make the kind of results that you actually want. Okay, so this all comes off of this particular area here. Price bounced all the way down to the 117 area, which was the area we had highlighted in advance. This is where we think the market will be able to get to quite comfortably, quite easily. And we had a second area, which was the 117.50, which was just above, where it was basically saying, based on this, let me show you this. Okay, let's just move over a little bit. When we look at 117.50 right here, I was basically saying, I think that the market could get down to 117, but if you notice, a lot of the time, every time price was basically dropping down, price would certainly get to 117.50. And sometimes, like this, for example, like this as well, it wouldn't necessarily get all of the way. Okay, so I was saying, look, if you're going to be a little bit more cautious, just make sure you kind of trade to this kind of area, not all the way to the bottom. But as you can see already from the real-time examples, price this time went all the way from the top all the way to the bottom. Okay, so this is all based off just stuff like this, looking at the higher time frames and gauging this stuff. Okay, now one thing I need you to understand, let me go to the higher time frame before I break this down for you. So let's go to a daily view so you can see this even better. All right, so look, and let's zoom out a little bit so you can see we've talked about this over and over again. Okay, you can even zoom out more. This is going back multiple years now. This is back to 2018. Price has been going down like this. Okay, and because price has been going down like this, that's what we want to do too. That's my logic. That's how I, ascertain the markets. So we're looking for the sell positions. Now, what we always do is we look for opportunities based on the long-term momentum, and then what we do after that is we start looking to the left, and we say, okay, cool, where is price basically going to get to comfortably without any issues? So we'll start looking this way, and you can see that here previously in March, okay, price stopped at this area. You go back to last year, and what do you see? You see that in October times, November times, September times, price was around this area and price bounced back. Now, what we do now is there's two things we do, because this has happened. This is gone now. Price has hit this area, this 117 area. Now what we're going to do next? Okay, cool. This is where it gets a bit interesting, because we're looking at a daily chart. Again, what did I say? All you do is you just look left. Where's the next piece of key area of buying activity where price decided to turn around in these particular regions? What we do now is, look, we do this. We basically put a line on, which is just basic, and we say, okay, cool, the last time price was in this particular region, the 116 region, 116.10, 116.12, pretty much 116 the next round number, price basically bounced off. Now if you look, we zoom back in, right, you can notice that, look at this. Look at this right here. Price bounced there, okay, in March. Even the other day in April, okay, it tried to get there again. It tried to get there, but didn't quite get there, right? So this is the next area. If price is going to move down, this is the next area, 116.12, which is about 100 pips away, 120, 30 pips away from where price actually closed on the weekend. So if we're going to be taking sell positions on this particular trade, going forward, we'll be taking a sell position down with the mindset that, okay, cool, it's not a guarantee that price is going to reverse. It's not a guarantee that price is going not to get there. But we say, okay, cool, the last time price was around this area, 116-ish, price decided to bounce back up. That's important for us as sellers, because we want to make sure that our take profits are likely above this area, just a little bit at least. Not to say that price can't do this, what it's doing here in both scenarios, literally breaking through the area and then coming back. It can do that, but that becomes more risky now. We're not looking at something that is closer to guaranteed. We're looking to something that's less closer to being guaranteed, and it's important you understand that. All right, now I want to say something really powerful, which I need you to understand right now. Okay, so just because we were able to kind of highlight this area as a potential area, a 400 pip drop, okay, we talked about the 400 pip drop in, I think, the third live stream last week. It's in the description box, the 400 pip drop. It's important that you go and watch it after this live stream, because it talks about this. But this is going back from 2 weeks now worth of analysis. But the point I'm trying to make is, this is a huge move, okay, for intraday traders. Intraday traders, for those you know what is, that's basically people that just trade, that try and trade every single day and make money. Okay, for a long-term perspective, from a long-term trading perspective, someone that trades less frequently and tries to take, for example, like one trade from here all the way down to here, An intratrade trader may be taking one trade from here, then take another trade from like here, and another trade from like here, and then another trade like here, like 4 days across. Okay, that way you can basically bank some profits and there's less risk on the table in some categories. Okay, in some cases, having 3 or 4 trades opposed to one trade spreads the risk across. If you have one trade and it loses, then you lose. If you have 4 trades and 2 lose and 2 win, then you can still put yourself in a position to actually make quite a decent amount of money. So just bear that in mind. So that's the difference between like a long-term trader and intraday trader. Okay, and there's pros and cons to both of them. What I like to do is I like to combine both of them in multiple ways. You can do long-term trading but also shorter-term trading, but then you can also do what we're doing here, in which we're showing you even more detail, which is basically combining all of the time frames together to make this work. We've got a video in the description box. You can watch it after this live stream about the best time frames to trade. We talk about that more in that video, and I don't know if it's there in the description box as well, a video that we did about the best time of the day to make money trading the Forex markets. Both of those videos you can watch after the live stream will actually be beneficial for you in regards to like how to trade the Forex markets. Okay, so we think the market's going down. This is the important thing I wanted to say. So the market's moved down all this way, right? And I want to give you a vital lesson now in regards to trading, because it's hit this area that we planned out in advance. All right, cool. Okay, hopefully you made some money on this short position. If you didn't, there's always next time. Don't beat yourself up too hard. Okay, there's always next time. This is why we do this stuff on a regular basis, because new opportunities happen every single day. But the point I want you to realize, okay, I want to tell you a story. Funny enough, it's related to the euro yen and also the dollar yen. Okay, a few years ago, I think it was just after 2010, maybe 2012, around that time, I was trading these currencies heavily. The euro yen was pulling in a lot of profit for me because the way it was moving, the usdjpy was doing the same. And one thing I need you to understand is I was continually making money from this market, like religiously every single day. And it got to a certain point where the profits just started to dry up. I was coming with the same expectation every single day, still trying to look for those same trading opportunities, but they just weren't the same. Now, I want you to understand, the reason I'm telling you this story is because it will help you if you understand the lesson I'm trying to give you. The fact of the matter is, what basically happened was the currencies at the time basically stopped moving with the velocity, with the momentum that they were moving previously. So where I would come every day and the momentum was there and the momentum was clear. It was a very, I believe it was a bullish market at the time. I can't recall 100%, but the market was moving in a strong trend in one direction and it was easy to basically pick it off. And what basically happened is, as it changed, I didn't change. I had got caught up in, you know what, this is how we're trading it, this is how much money we're making, this is how we can do it very quickly. Now, what started to happen to is I started to lose money. I think it was about a month or two, just like beating my head against the brick wall, basically, just trying to trade it, and it just wouldn't pan out. Ultimately, I kind of woke up and said, you know what, like something's different. I looked at what's happening, I looked at the markets, and I realized, you know what, the market isn't moving the way it's moving before. Now a lot of the momentum's come out of the market. I say all this to say, a good book that I recommend you should definitely get, okay, and you can actually get a free copy of this, okay, is a book called Who Moved My Cheese. It's not a trading book, but it's a powerful book which will help you understand the lesson I kind of just explained to you. And especially in the times that we're in right now, the book is generally like about work, and generally people right now are getting a lot of different experiences they're not ready for in regards to like their work life. So I definitely recommend you get the book. It's in the link in the description box, and this is in the first comment. And basically the book just shows you like how to be nimble, how to be ready to change once like the money dries up. So if the money is in one particular situation, you have to be ready to move to the next situation. Now you can basically get a free copy of this audio book. You can listen to it on the go or listen to it when you're about your house. When you get a free trial on Audible, you can basically download the book, cancel your subscription if you want, and you still get to keep the book as well. Free trial is in the description box. You can get Who Moved My Cheese for free. All right, why did I say all this stuff? I said all this to say you need to be careful now with the euro yen. I'm going to be careful. I'm going to be cautious. Why? Because we've talked about this drop, right? We've talked about the drop. We've talked about this area right here. Now what's going to happen? The last time price was here, what did it do? It pushed up. Now, if anyone knows me in regards to when I've talked about trades, currency bouncing between two regions, generally, I believe, and generally what I see tends to happen is the price will break through these two areas. A range is basically just where price is bouncing between two regions, okay? Like you can see here, the black line here and the red line across on the bottom, right? So generally what's going to happen is the price will generally eventually break through with the momentum. So because the momentum is coming from up here all the way down, price will eventually, stereotypically, not complete like 10 commandments, that price will generally break through, okay, with the momentum. So it'll move down. We don't know if this is the time. So I want you to understand, don't be surprised if price now bounces back all the way to the top, if price bounces halfway before trying to move back down, or if price decides to move sideways. This is why I told you about the story from years ago. Funny enough, it's with the same currency. This is why I told you as well about the free book you can get, Who Moved My Cheese, description box, right, and comment section. Because you need to understand, just because you made money last week on a currency a certain way, it doesn't mean that you're going to make money the same way the next day, okay, or the next week and stuff like that. And this is why it's significant, because this is significant with this right now is because where the market actually is, it's right bang on this area. Now, full disclosure, price could just keep blowing through, and if it does, we'll continue to sell, okay? But price can easily start moving back. This is why this currency that was hard on, I've been pretty much hard on selling for the last 2 weeks, and has been provided multiple opportunities to start this week. It's a question mark. I need to wait, okay? Let's talk about some scenarios. So we've got this area 117, which we've talked about. We've got the 116.10 area. So what we can do is, let's go higher first and foremost, because let's talk through scenarios, right? So the scenario is kind of like a common scenario that could happen is, or let's say one of the scenarios, the price moves down, right? It just keeps moving down. Okay, cool. So in that scenario, we've highlighted the 116 area, right? This is a weekly view. We're doing this all why? Yes, because we want to look left. We want to see where the market's been able to move down to previously and where it's basically turned around, okay? So we look at, let's look at this. We'll put a line on and we'll say, okay, cool. What about, let's put one right here, okay? And then let's put another one right here, okay? These are two areas below the areas we just discussed, below the area we discussed, where look, price has pushed off heavily from these regions. Okay, one, and then this area right here, price has pushed off heavily from these regions and then continue to push up, right? So we need to be careful in that regard. So if price continues to move down on this market, we've got 116, we've got 115, and we've got 113, right? Pretty much. So we've got about 100 pips away, 200 pips away, and then about 400 pips away. Let's do this. So if price moves down through these areas, right? Let's go down to the daily. You can see a better view of this. Okay. If price starts to move down through these regions, we have to have these in mind. Okay, cool. Price gets to this particular region. Let's just be careful because we understand that price may try and turn around at this area. Okay. If price blows through this region, okay, cool. This area right here is the next area of significance where price has pushed off from hard previously. Okay. We have to be ready for those kind of scenarios. Let's go down to a lower time frame just to get a bit more context here, right? So now let's say for example, let's zoom right into this, right? 4 hours, and let's go to a 1 hour view now. So let's say for example, this is the 1 hour view. This red line is the 117, right? So let's say for example, in this situation, price isn't basically going to keep going down. Price is going to move sideways. If price is going to move sideways on this potential opportunity, on this potential currency, depending on how much it's moving up and down, there most likely will not be an opportunity to basically take a trade on this. Okay, cool. We sit aside, we say, okay, cool, we're not involved, right? If price starts pushing up, what we want to start looking then at doing is, we want to start looking this way and saying, okay, cool. Is price blowing through these previous areas? Is price taking out previous lower highs, okay, as it was moving down? And as it starts to do this, that's when we have to now start saying, okay, cool. This is going from a question mark to potentially maybe price is trying to push back up to those higher levels, to the 121 region, okay, because it's maybe not ready to go through the range, etc. Okay, this is what you need to ascertain. You have to be careful with this kind of stuff because it's easy to basically kind of get caught up in certain situations. This is why for something for the last 2 weeks it's been straight. Okay, yep, we're looking for down positions. Even when I think 2 weeks ago the price ultimately was moving up, I mentioned in those live streams, go back and watch them, there were opportunities and we highlighted them in the midst of it moving up for price to actually move down and provide good opportunities with low risk to reward, right? So first things first for me, depending on how the market opens, okay, let's go to a 15-minute. Depending on how the market opens, the market closed like this, okay? But depending on how the market opens, let's say for example the market doesn't really open with a gap up too much or a gap down. A gap is basically where price closed in this particular region, price could open like here, for example, or price could open like down here, for example, and it would be a gap between where price actually closed from on the weekend or on Friday, right? So what we'd basically do is, if price doesn't do anything too crazy, I'd be focusing on this area right here, okay? Not because I necessarily like respect it still, because this was a level we basically focused on from a 15-minute window, okay, lower time frames. So those areas, although they can still be strong, but as days go by they become less and less likely to happen, okay, less and less likely to be like adhered to. So although as we like, if you look back when we come back to the higher time frames, we mentioned it to start the stream, although price was literally continually dropping down from this region, that doesn't guarantee us anything going into the new trading week, right? So if this is what I'd focus on, what is price doing in this area first and foremost? If price moves down and is showing that it wants to break through, then pretty much maybe tomorrow, God willing, on a live stream, or the day after that, God willing, on a live stream, you'll hear me say, okay, cool, I'm looking to just continue with the sell positions. But because this is has been such a powerful area, 117, right, we have to handle it with caution. And again, we talked about this previously all last week. What happens if you miss a trade? Let's say, for example, price bounces from this region, right, and moves down, and it continues to move down. There will likely be an opportunity. There will likely be an opportunity because people are always going to be taking profits. If they don't, if there's no opportunity for you, for the retail trader, for you, for me, people that are trading our own money from home, then we just have to put our hands up and say, look, it wasn't for us, okay? Clearly there's people in the market that are trying to basically do something by themselves. And in those scenarios, there's nothing we can pretty much do in those scenarios anyway. So let's just like leave it as it is, right? So this is the euro yen. For me, it's just a big question mark until further notice, okay? Until further notice, it's a question mark. Let's see how the market opens. Let's see what it does to start. Let's see how it's actually handling itself. If there's a lot of selling momentum in the market, then yes, definitely we'll be looking to continue with those sell positions as we did last week and we was trying to do the week before, and we'll just see what happens in that scenario. But this was an area from last week. The only reason I'm going to keep this on for now, this area, this yellow highlighted area, is because it hasn't been breached, and not because I think that it still like holds weight, because I really don't have that much trust in it right now, but because it hasn't been breached, I'll leave it there and we'll see how price reacts around that area. Okay, now let's look at another currency. Let's look at another currency. And if you've got a currency you want us to kind of look at, let me know in the chat section. I'll try and give it a look at some point. Okay, let's look at the euro. This was another currency we were looking at from a sell perspective. Let's start with the daily, and we can see we talked about this last week as well. This trend line, this loose trend line we had on, I think, from 2 weeks ago, and you can see price pushed up after, and then last week we had this area as a potential opportunity to see where price may come into and then basically start the sell-off. As you can see, it didn't even get there. The market pretty much just opened straight away and then moved down in a series of just trending fashions, trending waves, if you want to call it that, for the eliticians out there, and basically just kept moving down. So this, for example, where this is different to the euro yen is, look, we've still got this opportunity. We've still got where price is now, that around 108-ish, all the way down to the bottom here is 106.50. So we're talking about 250 pips potentially in this particular scenario, still for downward potential action. Why do I say this? What are we doing? We're looking to the left, right? The last time, where was the last time price got down to? Or right here, and price shot off with a lot of velocity all the way back. Okay, high retracement. Okay, for those of you out there that love Fibonacci and stuff like that. And price has subsequently continued to move down. So I expect price to continue to move down at least to this area right here, 107, at least. So all we'll do is, where the euro yen was probably the most time consuming currency I devoted to last week, this may now take the precedent and be the preeminence and be the one we focus on more. Okay, so we look at this, for example. Let's look at a weekly, because we don't it's always important to just look and see what else the price is doing. Now notice we've got this area down here, and we're just looking to the left at where price is reacting. So we're looking at what price can actually be doing in these particular areas. Okay, loose ape named Jake, AUD, USD. Can you look at? Yeah, I'll take a look at that as in a minute. So we've got our areas, right? One, two. Let's just leave it like that. If you want, you can add more on. These are areas that, okay, cool, we think the market's moving down. We're looking for sell positions. I'm looking for a sell position on the Euro USD. That's what I'm looking for. Okay. And even if you want to put one more on, let's say you put one here as well, just down here, for example. Okay, 104.30. Now let's go down to a lower time frame. Let's look at a 4-hour chart and see how this all makes sense. Okay, in real time, closer to price action. So I mentioned this already. Price was moving down in a well-behaved fashion, which is the custom of the euro dollar. Okay. And the fact of the matter is, this doesn't have to be perfect. This doesn't mean that this is going to obey this perfectly. But the fact of the matter is, as we look at this stuff, we say, okay, cool, where are opportunities to potentially get sell positions, right? Because that's what I'm going to be trying to do for the week. So I know go down to the lower time frames again. entry, go back to last week's live streams, the week before's live stream, we talk about entry a lot. But now we look at a 1 hour view and we're saying, okay, cool, what is price going to do? I talked a lot about stuff like this over the last couple of weeks. Price is always going to provide you with an opportunity to get into a trade. Why? Not because the market cares about you, but because people care about themselves. Okay, it's the greed of the market in a lot of cases, or it's the greed of a lot of the people in the market that will be taking trades and then they want to close out for a profit. So all we want to see is two things. We look to the left, right? We want to put as many things in our favor in regards to probability as possible, right? So we say, okay, cool. One thing is, let's look to the left. Where's an area previously where price has turned around from? Not turned around, has continued the downwards momentum. Well, we can highlight here, right? 108.50. Okay, that's one. You could do this all the way up. Okay, 109.50. 110.25. That's one thing. But ideally, if price is pushing up to these higher levels, then it's more of a sign that price isn't ready to move down as well. So just factor that in, right? But as price is basically moving down, this is one piece of potential evidence. We've drawn on a loose trend line. Okay, so if price starts doing something like this, which would correlate with the trend line, which is one, with the previous price action actually, then a potential trend line around this area, that would be 2. We've got long-term momentum, which is down, which would be 3. If we can get something like this, and we'll go down to lower time frames, that would, to see this even better, that would be 4, basically. Good solid price action. If we can get good risk to reward, that would be 5. And those are things we piece together to basically put ourselves in a position to basically get a trade, right? And again, from entry purposes, go back to our previous live streams after today's live stream is over, and it'll give you more insights into what the market is actually doing. Okay, now let's go to a 15-minute. We want to start getting into real time and showing you what stuff like this actually looks like. Okay, because these were some of the areas we were just highlighting from a 1 hour perspective, stuff like this. So you want to look at this stuff and basically see what it looks like closer to real time. So every 15 minutes, these are the kind of candles that are basically forming. And what this tells you is something's happening in the market, right? So we talked about price bouncing up to potentially the trend line area, okay, 108.50. And if price can come up to this particular kind of window and put in something like this, what you're now talking about is this, for example, is you're talking about 10 pips worth of price action. So when you get price like tight like this within the midst of huge downwards momentum, we're talking about hundreds of pips downwards. When price stops and starts moving sideways, for example, for like 10 pips and the price is compressed, that's telling you, we talked about this last week about tops. We're looking for the top of a downwards momentum moving market, and we're looking for the bottoms on the upwards momentum moving market. Where's the top? Where's price continually showing us that price doesn't want to go above? Okay, and as we're seeing all of this stuff happen in real time, you can see all you do is you start drawing. Okay, cool. Is this the top? Is this the top? Where's the top? Where's the top appearing? Like, where's the top appearing? And not only that, where's the opportunity? Where's the market giving us an opportunity to actually get into the market? Okay, if you think about it, last week, the last stream of the week we did last week, it was NFP, biggest economic news calendar on the scheduled calendar, right? And it was like, I highlighted it. I came in before the news figure, and I was basically saying, look, you don't know what the market's going to do. Like, this news figure could be really beneficial and it could move the market. It could be really terrible and move it in an opposite direction. The figure came out, it wasn't that good, but really and truly, nothing really happened in regards to the market. Excuse me, gold moved a little bit. The dollar index, or the S&P 500 moved a little bit more. Or the S&P moved as well, not a little bit more, but that was basically it. So the point I'm trying to make is we do all of this stuff just to keep our records basically of what we think the market's going to do, but this is it. So because I've highlighted this area, I'll keep an eye on it. The only reason I wouldn't put like a yellow area, which I normally kind of do, is, and you see it, you saw it previously in the live stream, we put a yellow area as potential. The only reason I'm not going to do it is because I want to see how the market opens. Okay, once the market is opened, I'll have this number, this 108.50 region, in the back of my mind, pretty much at the front of my mind, in fact, and I'll be saying, okay, cool, is price trying to push up? Remember last week, right? Bear that in mind. So I've got this in my mind. Remember last week? What happened last week? This happened, right? Had the yellow area on. Price didn't even get there. Missed it by about what? 20, 30, 40, 50 pips. Just went straight down. So you just have these things just to see what happens. That's it. And you just wait and see. But I do expect price, if price is going to continue to go down, to at least easily come to this area, test this area, and if not, try and continue moving lower. That's the euro, okay? And it'll just be about looking for an opportunity on this and seeing where the market's actually going to move to. Now, let's look at the Aussie dollar. Loose Ape named Jake said he wants to look at it. He wants me to look at it. Let me know why you're interested in the Aussie dollar as well. For the record, just as I break this down. Okay, so that's the euro. Selling. Let's look at the Aussie dollar. Now, the Aussie dollar was an interesting one. Why was it an interesting one? Because last week, pretty much for the last 2 weeks, we put it on the back burner. This is why this is powerful. Why is this powerful? Because the euro yen was the front runner, okay, alongside the euro dollar. The Aussie dollar, amongst one other currency, which we, if we have time, we'll talk about that as well, were put on the back burner. I put this on the back burner because price moved down and then price basically started pushing back up, right? And this black line, if I remember correctly, this was an area, I can't remember why this, I think this was the area I was looking at. I can't remember, so let me not just be guessing. But price basically pushed up. And I was saying, where's the market moving down from? Okay. Like, where's the market moving down from? Like, where's the market? Because we had been thinking, okay, look, short positions, right? It wouldn't find a top. Price just kept going higher and higher and higher. So I was saying, okay, cool. The euro yen, the euro are more like easy. They're doing what I expect it to do, focused that way. That's a lesson you need to understand. Again, going back to the whole who moved my cheese, okay, remember, the book's in the description box, you can get it for free. Listen to it anytime you want, right? Even if you cancel your free trial. But the point is, you have to be ready to move. If you do your analysis, one thing is portraying yourself much more lucrative, focused that way, okay? Because if you're doing things the way I kind of do things, the risk is going to be the same, no matter what trade you take. It's always going to be 2% or less, okay? That's all you need to understand. So if I trade the euro, if I trade the euro yen, if I trade the Aussie dollar, if I trade the pound against dollar, if I trade the any currency, basically, the euro JPY, the euro USD, pound against the dollar, Aussie dollar, USD JPY, euro GBP, or no matter what it is, the risk is the same. The potential to make profits is different, though. That's what you need to understand. So you want to focus in that regard to where we're going. So I said, you know what, let's just leave this. I won't focus on this. And what I started to notice last week, okay, I didn't trade it, but it now started to show me, okay, cool, maybe this was the top. Okay, now Loose Ape named Jake says he's long AUD USD. It's been hit hard. I think a turn is due. Your long USD, it's been hit hard. When you say it's been hit hard, what do you mean by that? And do you think, are you saying you think it's due for a trend, as in it's going to move down or it's going to move up? So what I'd say, for me personally, let's look at this again. This is a good place to say, look, I'm going to tell you what I think personally. Your bias your bias has been long, right? So you can see two people can look at charts and have two completely different like decisions, two different thought processes. And this is why it's important, and I say this in every live stream, that look, these things I'm talking about, it's not financial advice. This is my personal opinion. This is what I think the market's going to do. Okay. So if I take a trade and I make money, that's me. If I take a trade and I lose money, that's me. If you take a trade, you win, that's you. If you take a trade, you lose, it's you. So you need to understand that. You have to be willing to make your own decisions. Okay. So just bear that in mind. I'm not saying this just to you, Jake. I'm just saying this just in general. So you said you're in at 1.5 risk, but you seem to enter too fast. It's gonna move up. So you think it's gonna move up. So what I'd say is, this is what I do when I'm looking at markets. I always start with a higher time frame. I look at the like daily, weekly. I have no problem looking at a monthly either. Okay, because I want to see what the market's doing. Now, if you look at this, this is really interesting. This is a monthly view, right? You see right here? This is 2011, right? Can you see that? This is 2011. What's price been doing since 2011 on the Aussie dollar? It's been moving down overall, right? Does that change the fact that price pushed up here, price pushed up here, price pushed up here? It's profit taken, right? Think about everything we've explained, from the higher time frame all the way down to 15-minute time frames, 3-minute, 2-minute time frames. Okay, it's all the same. The market moves in one direction, then people take profits. People take profits. Then the market keeps going in the long-term direction. You see this on the monthly, you'll see this on the weekly, on the daily, on the 4-hour, the 1 hour. You trade off the 4-hour charts, all right, cool. So hopefully what I'm kind of sharing with you now will help you in regards to some of the trade decisions you make, right? So this is the monthly. The price has been moving down, right, long term, since 2011, nearly 10 years. Now, what's interesting, that we can't ignore, is this right here. Because I always say this, and I'm not going to say this now. I'm not going to say it now because it may not work in my favor, maybe, potentially. We look left, right? And what do we see here? In 2009, okay, economic financial world crisis times, right? What did price do? This was where price decided to reverse from and basically push all the way back up to 1-to-1. Okay, so when you think about it like this, this was the bottom. This is where the tails of the candles reached, but generally the body was here at 65. 65 was the region where price ultimately decided to now push up from, in basically 2 waves. Okay, and it did this in basically 2 years. It dropped all this way, and basically over the last 9 years, what happened in 2 years has basically moved down in 9 years. Okay, now when you think about it like this is important, because this area right here, based on what price is doing right now, is a huge area. The reason I want to say it's the hugest is because of what I talked about here in regards to the tails. The tails are hit down there. So if price has actually been breaking through the body of these candles, okay, where price is right now has actually been breached, that does tell you a little bit that price may actually be willing to break. But what we should do is, let's do this. Let's take all of this off. We've got this line on, right? Going back to 2003, we have to put lines on. If price is going to continue doing what it's going to do, we have to talk about these areas. You say you're a swing trader, you go 50 pips an hour. I'm not a swing trader. I wouldn't categorize myself as a swing trader, but I still go for 50 pips, 30, 40, 50 pips, sometimes more on trades. And I try to do that in one day, not really over a couple of days. So if you're interested in learning how I do that, then definitely watch more of my videos and you'll see exactly how that's possible. We've got a video where I basically break down my strategy, specifically what I do. It's in the description box. You can watch it after this live stream. We've got on-demand training, which basically breaks down not only the strategy, but it breaks down like why the strategy works, why it's been working for years and years, why it will continue to work. It's in the description box. You can watch it any time of the day you want. It's on demand for you. Okay, so let's just we've highlighted these two areas, right, as potential areas on the downside. Now let's take all this information and go down. Okay, now we're looking at a weekly. This is the area, the first area, this black line where price is actually broken through, right? Now let's go down to 4 hours. Now my whole thing is looking at this. We've talked a lot about what the market's doing, right? The market's moving down. Now, what did we just talk about in regards to what the market does in the long-term momentum? The market will either move down or move up, and the opposite happens. You see profit taken, right? This right here, thank you for the subscription, for subscribing, appreciate it. This right here to me seems like profit taking, right? The market's been moving down. This is a 4-hour view. Price is gradually moving up. Price gradually started moving sideways, and now price looks like it's looking to try and now test these lower areas. This is what I see, taking into consideration everything that's happening. Now, this doesn't mean that's gonna happen. But even before, in recent weeks, I've been expecting the market to continue to move down, but you can't ignore these areas, right? The same thing we talked about in regards to the euro yen to start. The same thing we talked about in regards to the euro dollar. You basically have to like highlight these areas and see what price does at these particular regions. Will I be surprised if price bounces off this region and starts going up? Not particularly. Would I be surprised if price bounced off this particular region down here? Okay. And continue to move up? Not particularly, because these are areas where price has literally bounced off of before. But you have to understand that this is 9 years worth of data going this direction. Now it might be 9 years worth of data to get to this point, like we've seen where price pushed up from before. But that's something you have to basically take into consideration. As it stands, I'd be looking for moves down basically, and waiting to seeing what happens until price tells me otherwise, because it's not just about the level. Okay, this is what we talked about in the euro yen to start. Although I'm going to be cautious, it's not just about the level. Okay, it's about what it does at the level, because we're talking about key powerful buy areas here that price is basically pushing into. And what generally is going to happen in those scenarios is price can maybe get through and break through, but there's so much buying velocity, or there may be so much selling velocity, depending on what way the market's going. We're talking about downwards movement here, so we're talking about buying momentum. Price shoots it back up. If you notice, look at the tails on this time frame. The weekly was showing it, but look, you can see it on the daily right here. Okay, you can see it on the weekly right here, and when we looked at the monthly, you can see it's one big tail basically. Okay, one big tail here. So just bear that in mind when you're looking at what these markets are going to do. And then look, we're looking at 1 hour now. This is even more insights. This is what we just looked at previously about how the price was basically moving up, right? And then price kind of started moving sideways, and then the price seems to be moving down. And within that, price is pushing up slightly. We had this huge spike up here. Price is moving up slightly, but what's price doing after? Price is now like moving down, and it looks like it wants to continue. So all I would be doing, based on all of this stuff here that I've discussed, okay, plus the long-term momentum pushing it down, I'd be saying, cool, is price gonna like try and push up somewhere and then continue down, and then look for us an opportunity? Okay, But looking at higher time frames and stuff like that definitely like is beneficial to you, because it gives you a bigger picture of what's actually happening, like the direction where things are going, where things might turn around. Because when we get now to lower time frames, like the 15-minute for example, right, and we're looking at this, all we have to do is we have to start looking left, like where's price going to, for example? Where could price potentially reverse? Are we looking at 60-20 as a potential area based on what price did? Are we looking at 60-60, this kind of area, 60-70, around this kind of region based on what price did? Okay, and bear in mind, like I said, for I believe it was the euro, if price starts pushing up higher, then you have to kind of like rethink. Okay, remember, who moved my cheese? Get the gold in one place, get the profits in one place, then be nimble, move to the next place. Okay, that's why I recommend that book highly. It's in the description box. You can get a free audio copy of it and listen to it anytime you want. But this is the point. This is what the euro looks like. Sorry, the Aussie dollar looks like to me. I think it's a sell-off. So one thing we can do is, we didn't do this on any of the other currencies, but I do talk about this as well, getting really close up and seeing what the price action's doing. Okay, this is a 3-minute chart now. I'm not going to tell you, look, do all your analysis of the 3-minute chart. That would, in my opinion, would be ludicrous, basically, just to do that, for example, to be making these kind of like longer term decisions. You can use this kind of this chart, in my opinion, for two things, and they're basically the same anyway. Okay, entry, if you know what you're doing, like we've kind of done, we've broken down the markets, we're saying, okay, cool, this is what we think the market's going to do, and now we're looking for a place to enter. We can do it for that. Yes. The second thing we can do it for is to minimize risk. We can take a potential 20-30 pip stop loss, 15-20 pip stop loss, and potentially make it like a 10 pip stop loss. And if you follow the live streams we did last week and the week before specifically, what you'll find there in that scenario is we talked a lot about your entries, how important your entries are, because it can take your risk from here to here. And when you take your risk from here to here, that automatically takes your profit potential from here to here. Okay, and it makes it easier to get a winning trade in those scenarios. Okay, but ultimately at the end of the day, again, you have to make your own decisions, and all it is you have to see what happens. Like if the trade doesn't move down, then fair enough. Like I was wrong. Like I don't mind being wrong. Like it is a little bit more difficult, like talking about it so publicly these days, because generally it's just been for private students and stuff like that. But like at the end of the day, I know ultimately this will make me a better trader, even better than I am before. Okay, so this is what I think about the Aussie dollar. That's my approach. It's most likely, at least for now, gone ahead of the euro yen in regards to my trading opportunities. The Aussie dollar and the euro USD. The euro USD probably first right now. Aussie dollar is a close second as a currency I'm looking to sell the market on. That's the Aussie dollar. Hopefully that helped you, Jake. And definitely, again, thank you for subscribing. And if you like what we're talking about here, definitely hit the thumbs up button. This is obviously of good benefit to you. This also helps us in regards to you telling YouTube that obviously Israel's posting some good materials here to help us with our trading. And obviously as well, if you like what we're talking about, make sure you obviously subscribe to the channel as well. Okay, and obviously we've got loads of trading videos to help you with your trading and all of that kind of stuff as well. Let's look at the pound against the dollar. Okay, this is another one right here. Let's jump straight to the daily. Okay, and look at what we have here. Not as ripe, that's a good word, not as ripe as the Aussie dollar, but it looks like it's ripening. And you can notice that it looks similar. Shoot, wow, that was a bit wonky right there. Huge, that's a little bit better. Huge downwards momentum. Okay, just like the Aussie, we saw the pushback, right? Now are we starting to see it ripen and try and get lower? We saw, for example, the euro USD looked exactly like this, but the euro was like kind of like down here so far. It pushed down, and I was talking about there's still at least a little bit left in the potential opportunity, right? The Aussie is like here, so there's still a bit of opportunity, a good opportunity. The pound against the dollar is still up here in the beginning phases, and it looks like it's ripening. So again, this was one based off this huge downwards momentum, based off the overall downwards momentum of the market of the pound against the dollar. We were looking for sell positions, and 2 weeks ago the market was doing this green activity right here, but again was providing still opportunities to go short, because when you've got this right here, okay, the overall momentum in your favor, it will still provide opportunities, even though it's going against you, against your analysis, like from a week-to-week basis. It will still provide you with good opportunities, right? So right now it is looking like it's ripening and getting ready to continue that downwards momentum. This is from a daily view. Let's go down 4 hours. You can see all this stuff, and like, it's good to start from the bird's eye view and then basically compress it down and see specifically what it's doing on a shorter time span specifically, because it makes it like really beneficial from that perspective. Okay, if there's any other currencies as well you want me to look at, let me know, okay, while we're still on. Hopefully I'll be able to help you make a good solid decision in regards to the trades you're basically going to take in regards to your trading activity. All right, now this one, we've got these areas down here as potential areas where price should be able to get down to if it continues. But this is a 4 hour view, and notice, excuse me, you have to look to the left, right? And the 122 region, which is 70 pips away from where price is right now, is the last place where price pushed up from quite heavily. Then we look at this area right here, which is the 119 region, and then we look down here, which is basically the 115 region, just under 115, 114.90, which is about 800 pips in total. Okay, so we talked about a 400 pip last week on the euro yen. This is a potential 800 pip drop. So if I do a video, if I do a live stream during the week, God willing, and it says the 800 pip drop on cable, the pound against the dollar that I told you about, you know this is likely what I'm talking about. Okay, because the way it basically did this over a couple of days, I would not be surprised if price did this over a couple of days. And barring this right here, this is the only thing right now in regards to a sell position that I'd be looking at. They could potentially hold this situation, just the fact that price pushed up from here previously. So this has seemed to present itself as the top. This was like the this, like the Aussie dollar, was the second currency I alluded to, which I said, you know, I put on the back burner because it didn't seem ripe. Okay, so the euro and the eurojpy were the two ones that came to the forefront as the ones I was focusing on. I basically put the Aussie dollar and the pound against the dollar on the back burner amongst one other currency we'll talk about maybe next. And from that perspective, now you can see how the euro yen has moved back for this, just for the time foreseeable, to see what the price does at its key area. Now this one, like I said, it looks like it's ripening to continue to move down again. Okay, this is all just my thoughts, my thinking. I don't know what's going to happen. This could just do that, and if it does, fair enough, then I maybe have to rejig my mindset about what this market's doing. Maybe it's not ready, maybe this is just a pause, and actually price is basically trying to swallow all of those losses and come all the way back to these kind of areas. Who knows? Okay, that's it. But again, the theme that I've continued to talk about this week is don't get caught up in one mindset and one decision in regards to trading, because you never know. This is why the book Who Moved My Cheese, if you haven't heard it, you haven't read it before, you definitely want to consider it, because it gives you a vital lesson that's helped me in regards to trading a lot. And it's not only trading, it's helped me in different parts of life as well, because it makes you like realize and remember with a simple story that anyone can get, that you can have success one day and it can be gone the next day. Okay, so you just have to always be on your toes, always have to be nimble and remember that kind of stuff. Okay, so this is the 4-hour view. Let's go down. Let's see what this looks like in closer real time. Let's see 1 hour. Okay. And what I'll say is, I mentioned this already, but as we go down to lower, this looks more and more vital the lower it gets. Okay. The lower we look at, the lower time frames we get to, the more and more vital this area looks. Because, let me move this over for you. Because where price is right now, this is the black line that we've highlighted, right? As the area, basically the 115 region, right? But right here, this, like, look. Price bounced off this region, has continued just in a series of waves to push up. 1, 2, 3. Okay, the triple top for those of you that love the triple top. But regardless, price highlighted it doesn't want to go above that yet. But this area right here, to me, right here, is of utmost interest to me, because if price decides that it doesn't want to break this area, if price doesn't want to break below, that would be really interesting. But just remember, we've got a perceived an apparent top here. Okay, right here, just above 124, about probably 124.50-ish in this particular region. Okay, 124.60 in this region. So this can be handled a couple different ways. We can say, well, the overall momentum is down, maybe price wants to try and push up here, and if price pushes to this region and doesn't like break through, I'd definitely consider a sell position going down. Again, price may be not ready, and if price doesn't breach this region right here, then this becomes a little bit more likely, this area right here, that it could get breached, because then it's showing that, look, it's still trying to trend upwards, it's still putting in higher lows, right? So if it does that, that will be obviously a good opportunity to basically consider, or not, let me rephrase that, that was actually a bit of a blunder there. Let me take two, right? If price doesn't break this area and we have a higher low certified and price pushes up here, then it is a bit more likely that price could actually break through that region, and this potential sell position in this particular region is a little bit less likely. Okay, so just bear that in mind. I think that take was a lot better. So the joys of live streaming, right? Okay, so cool. So when we look at it from that perspective, it's about waiting to see what happens in this particular region. If price is going to push up, right? If price tops out, moves a bit sideways, provides opportunity, then maybe, yeah, we can look for a sell position down. If price does something like this, opens, pushes up a little bit, and then provides a sell position, that would be okay. But this for me, 122, it's like 121.90, this region right here, I want to see, let me not say I want to see this, okay? But the point I'm trying to make is, if the market moves down, I would want to jump on if this particular place is broken. I don't even mind necessarily trading down to this area, but I'll be extremely cautious at this particular region. And if this market breaks through here, then again, all we do is we start looking left, right? Okay, cool. This is the next piece of significant trading data, like in this particular region where buying has been prevalent. But we just look here. Okay, cool. Price rocketed up from here. That's something to consider. Okay, 118, just above 118, about 118.20. Okay, then we look at 117. Price shot from there as well, and this is how you consider it. So if there's no questions, let me go to the USDJPY. This was another really interesting one, and if there's no questions after this, we'll see what happens. But the USDJPY was something really interesting. This is kind of like the opposite of what we just talked about, right? So again, let's look from a daily perspective. This market has been extremely bullish. Bullish, for those of you who don't know, just means the market has been moving up, right? And price shot up, and this momentum here was significant. Price decided to stop here, which isn't a surprise in a lot of ways when you consider what's been happening previously. 1, 2, we'll do that again. 1, much better. 2, 3, right? So that is something to consider. But then also, price bounced off of this area, as you can see here, and similar but the opposite. So we looked at the pound against the dollar, we looked at the Aussie dollar. Price had basically pushed down hard, gone back, and we're looking for the top. Where's the top? On the USDJPY, we're looking at the opposite. Where's the bottom? Where does price seem to, like, where's the bottom that price wants to basically continue? It now looks like this at 107 has potentially presented itself as the bottom. Where price is now at 108.50, that's where price basically closed. My mindset is, okay, cool. If I'm looking for a long position, because this is what we've been looking at on this particular currency, let's take all this off. Because if we go to a higher time frame, I was basically saying in recent years, going back to 2011, opposite of the Aussie dollar, okay, price has been pushing up. Now, what basically happened here is, which is quite interesting, and this is where nuance comes into this, and this is where you making your own decisions comes into it heavily, is I highlighted the fact that, look, price basically bounced from this region, right? You can see that clearly. And price started moving down from this region. Where did it turn around? In this kind of region here, right? Okay. And because of the velocity in the market, let me give you a better view of this. Let's look at the 4 hour. Because of the way the market moved up here, I kind of said to myself in one of the live streams, this is a lot of velocity in the market that is making me think, you know what, this price action here, which you can see, I guess from a daily perspective, you can see how quickly price did this. Okay. just a few days, pretty much about a week and a half worth of trading, this kind of could cancel out all of the selling previously. So I kind of said, okay, cool. For me, from my perspective, I foresee this market pushing up to these levels. So from this perspective, if 107 is the area that price has said, okay, let's go up, I'm going to be looking for a long position on this, at least to 111.60. Okay, at least. And when I say at least to 111.60, I don't mean, I mentioned this earlier, I don't mean I'm taking one trade from here and my take profit is going to be here. I don't mean I'm taking one trade from here and I'm going to have T1 excuse me, there, and T2 here, and T3 here. I don't trade like that. I mean, I'm going to take potentially one trade here with a target like here, minimal 2% risk, at least maximum, looking for 6% or more return. Then I may take another trade here with again minimal 2% risk or less, 6% plus or more return up here. Then I could take, like I said, for example, another trade here with a target up here, again minimal 2%, at least 3 to 1 risk to reward, something along those lines. And that's how I do it. Okay, so I was talking about this earlier when Jake was saying he's a swing trader, and I was saying, well, we sound like we go for the same kind of targets on trades, but I'm not a swing trader waiting multiple days. I like to get my trades over and done with in 1 to 2 hours. And I say that as if I control how long my trade takes, but I don't. And this is what we explain in the free on-demand training in the description box. You can watch anytime, where it basically just shows you how it's possible that we can enter those trades and get into those trades in and out relatively quickly with small risk but big reward, right? Again, watch that at your leisure. So this is a market I'm looking for a long positions potentially. Now we've looked at the daily, let's go down to a lower time frame. Let's look at the 4 hour and let's just see what price has been doing. It does look like it's definitely ripening. Okay, looks like the initial bottom, long tail, looks like a hammer candle, which is a good thing to see somewhere low. That's why we want to see it. Then we can see that price bottom, triple bottom, for those of you that love the triple bottom or the triple top. And then price, away we go, has continued to go. Now again, we just look left. We can look at price here and say, okay, cool. Price sold off hard from this particular region previously, and just above this area as well. Price sold off quite hard recently as well. But after that, you could categorize this particular area here, but really and truly, here is the next area. 111.59, 593, 111.60 is the next area of key significance. Okay, so as we go down, let's even look even lower. So 1 hour, let's see what this price action looks like in a lot more detail. We want to be seeing stuff like this, where price is basically moving sideways, giving you an opportunity to have minimal risk on a stop loss, get into a potential entry in that sideways price action, and in this scenario, moving up, find a potential upside trade, etc. Okay, let's go to a 15-minute and see even more detail. Okay, this is where price bottomed out, 107, right? You can see the price action clearly. Price shot up. It's not a surprise when you look at what price is doing. This was the area previously where price sold off from hard recently. Now it's the consolidation. Even though it pushed up here as well, which in real time, these are things you wouldn't necessarily know what's going to happen in the sense of pushing up and basically coming back. You wouldn't know that's going to happen. But you can definitely see as this is happening in real time to the left. Okay, cool. Okay, so we've got an exchange where there was hard selling. Now all of those hard sellers have basically left the market. Maybe they've reversed their positions, whatever it is. Now it's about high buying, etc. That happens a lot. Okay, price sideways, bottomed out here, and then let's see what happens. Okay, that's what you want to see. Take off. Because we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. And notice this. This is 6 o'clock at night. Then 6 a.m. in the morning the next day. So that's 12 hours, right? From 6 p.m. at night, we had a bottom. Later on in the evening, 10 a.m., 11 p.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m., we had another test. Price shot up through Asia. Asian session is basically the nighttime trading window. And in that particular window, price came back down. And then what happened? About 3 a.m. in the morning, we get this one. This is the third time price bottomed out there. And what do we see? This might even be the best opportunity, which is at 6 a.m. We get this. And price pushes up to here. And this is a good place to kind of show you something really powerful, because we've done this is how all of this stuff becomes powerful, because we use all of the time frames together to get to a situation like this where we can now look for a trade opportunity, right? Because this is what we want to see. We want to see the market going in the direction. We want to see price action giving us an opportunity to enter. And then after that, all we need to see is, can we get risk on below somewhere? And can we have a target somewhere higher? Here, here, here. How do we determine that? Well, we've highlighted already. It's the 3 to 1, right? That's how I do it. So at that point, you just look and you say, okay, cool. Does this make sense? Maybe it makes sense, maybe it doesn't. Okay. And what are we talking about here? 16 pip stop loss, right? 16.9. So that's 17. What do we need? We need 51. 51 at least, right? 51 pips to be at least 3 to 1. 17, 34, 51, right? You see, I drew on these green lines. Look, I drew one here potentially. I drew one here. And bear in mind, just keep this number here in reference, okay? And then up here. So this right now would be, as you can see, 3 to 1 risk to reward ratio, yeah? But then this would be, what's this? This would be 4 to 1 risk to reward ratio, 68 pips, right, at the top. And that tail right here, this top right here, basically topped out there. But look at this. This is a 15-minute. This is a 15-minute window, time frame, right? If we know we're going long, if we know we've found a bottom, potentially, along here, we know where our stop loss is going to go. If this is the bottom, right? If this actually is the bottom, we know our stop loss is going to go below it, logically. Now we're looking for targets. All we're looking for is a target. Where can we enter the market? Low risk, high reward. This is why we can now jump down to these lower time frames and see exactly what price is doing, right? So let me take all of this off. And as we do this, what do we see? Let's look at what this actually looks like. This is the same place. And look at what price is doing. Okay, remember. Price bottomed here, right? We had all the black lines on. And look at this. Now that bottom, the overall bottom we looked at from the 15-minute, now we can see that the bottom from 6 a.m., right, was about, it was 6:30. This was the actual bottom. So now what can we do with that? We can move this in a little bit. Because we can see in the actual price action, price didn't actually go there. And even what's even more powerful, price moved up here, came back down, and didn't even go as low. So this makes this area even more comfortable. But even so, what else does that do? Look at where we put our line on, entry line, right? Based on the 15-minute. But this, based on looking at this stuff, is way too far. Because if you're looking at this in real time, as price is moving up, look at this. These are good areas to find good entries. And just by being able to do that, we can move this up, right? But we can also move this down a little bit. Now, let's go back to the higher time frame, because we'd only use this for entry. And what did the number suggest to us? Can you see the difference? Let me send this to the back. Now look at the numbers. Now this is 56 pips. Now this isn't 17 pips anymore. Now it's 11.3. So we've saved ourselves what? 6 pips, 7 pips on a stop loss. Now the risk still makes sense. The reward is the same. Now it's gone from 3 to 1 to what? 5 to 1. Now that's powerful, because a trade that had the same entry but has, well, the entry is a little bit different, a little bit better, and the risk is a little bit tighter because we're actually looking at the price action within all of this big activity. Now we say, okay, cool. Lower risk, more profit potential, because every time you lower the risk, the potential opens up. Every time you maximize the risk, the potential shrinks, the profit potential shrinks. That does two things. Now the same trade, the same target is probably about 4% more, because if you're risking 2% to make 6%, now you're still risking 2%, but now you're probably going to make 10%, right? That's one thing. Notice this, and this is a good example about just how, look how quickly this happened. This is morning, right, to afternoon. So why am I not a swing trader? Because if we do analysis like this, we can get trades like this, right? Makes sense. But then this is another powerful thing it does. So one thing it does is more profits, right? Another thing this does, which arguably is just as good, even though you're not going to make as much money. Another thing it does is it makes the trade easier, because we need 3 to 1 at least minimum, right? So look at this. 3 to 1 now becomes here. Okay. This now becomes 3 to 1. So right here instead of right here. Excuse me. Now, funny enough, it got there in one candle. It's not always going to do that. So But the point I'm making is it makes it easier, because the market, just because you've got a good entry, makes it a lot easier to get to where it needs to get to. So if you're a beginner and you're thinking about doing this stuff, I'd always say, no, just go there for the bare minimum. Go for 3 to 1. Like, this will feel good, but you would have built up consistency. As you become more confident and you look at the market, how, like, remember, we're doing all of this off the back of price potentially going back up to, is it like 111, 112? So there's a lot of upside potential. So if price moves to this area, that's fine. Okay. This is 30 pips, 40 pips, 50 pips. This can happen in one day if you time it right, like we did here. But you think about it like from this perspective, just go for 3 to 1. As you start to see this works, then you'll realize, you know, what Israel's saying actually makes a lot more sense. Like, let me pay attention more to what you're saying. You become better at analyzing the markets the way I've been doing for years and all this different kind of stuff. And again, this doesn't always work. This isn't like some perfect science. Remember, I'm a retail trader. You're likely watching this, you're a retail trader. We don't move the market with like the money we have in our trading account. There's big players out there that move the market. We don't move the market. But one, this would be easier. And one, it would be more profits if you take the exact same target. Or two, just make it easier. 3 to 1 moves from here to down to here. And you can see this is from 6:30 a.m. to about 10 a.m. This is how you can actually make money relatively quickly if you're at home, if you're on your lunch break, if you do this before you go off to work, etc. Obviously in a scenario like this, in the times we're in now, everyone's going to be at home. This is why it just makes more sense for you to focus on these kind of things. Okay, so does that make sense? Has what I've talked about today made sense? If it has made sense, hit the thumbs up button. Okay, let me know this actually makes a lot of sense. We've talked about 5 different currencies. Hopefully that's been of benefit to you. And what I'll say on that note is it's a good place to basically wrap it up for the weekend's trade setup. So this is what we do on a week-to-week basis. God willing, we'll be here next week again talking about all of this stuff. If you like what we talked about in today's video, subscribe to the channel, hit the likes up button, hit the thumbs up button, should I say. And I'll see you on the next live stream tomorrow, God willing, or the next video we publish on our channel. We generally go out on Tuesdays, Fridays, or Tuesdays and Saturdays, etc. Thanks, and take care, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks, and take care.